What's up guys, Meatman here, and today I'm showing you something absolutely insane. I decided to fight Alatreon solo with a lot of limitations. Why, you may ask? It may be because I have a complicated relationship with loving myself. Just kidding. But is this even possible, you may ask? The answer is yes. Stick around and we will be going over how something like this is not only possible, but it is easier than you might think. A little while ago I made a video that touched on difficulty in new generation Monster Hunter, and it got me thinking about some of the more difficult challenges Monster Hunter has produced in recent memory. One of these challenges, of course, was the ever-controversial and rage-inducing Alatreon fight in Iceborne. Historically, there has been a lot of buzz around this fight, but everyone who has either struggled with or mastered this fight understands that this is one of the more complicated fights to prepare for and execute. You have to not only make sure you hit an elemental DPS check, but you have to execute a horn break during the dragon active state before it drops its eschaton judgment on you. Otherwise, it will swap to a form that invalidates the element you chose to counter it, and with Farcasters not being usable the whole fight, you are doomed to be destroyed by the very next eschaton, if you are not carded by Alatreon's high damage strikes first. It makes sense that a high tier post game monster would be difficult. When hunters advise others to prepare hard with an optimal set and try their best to get as much of an edge as possible to ensure victory, they are not wrong. But what if you were to say to hell with it? I'm not doing all that guiding lance grinding. I don't care if I don't get to augment my weapon or defense. I don't care if I don't get to fully upgrade my charm. I want to face Alatreon first. I am not making any of that super powered Fatalis gear. I don't care if I have the most statistically impossible worst decoration luck on the planet, and I can only use decorations that you can meld or the few good offensive decorations you can get guaranteed playing through the game. I also don't care about getting the bare minimum elemental weapon from Frostfang Barioth. Blast will do. Here is Alatreon with a weak build. Alright, let's jump right in. The heart of every hunter is their build. It is here that we express ourselves by covering our weaknesses and weaponizing our strengths. We have to think strategically with this one, since this fight will be a race against time. If we take into account eating for feline safeguard, which gives us an extra cart, we can take a total of 3 eschaton judgments and still complete the fight. In most settings, if you were to look up builds, you would mostly be running into a build mindset that prioritizes damage over everything. But throughout this video, I'm going to show you that not only is this not necessary, but it can actually be more harmful than good. Naturally, we want to get hit as little as possible, since getting hit is not only bad for our health, but the time we spend healing instead of attacking can work against us in a challenge like this. If you are more of an average player, or you are a classic wage worker with a full work week and possibly a family, you might feel overwhelmed or perpetually rusty when it comes to trying to iframe dodge every attack from these vicious monsters. So one of my favorite solutions is Evade Extender. You don't have to iframe the attacks that you can just avoid outright. We can check the handy sort function at the forge, and luckily Max Evade Extender is on Arch-Tempered Namiel's waist. With this serving as the backbone of our defense, time to fit in some utility. I am using Insect Glaive, so the self buffs are going to be super important for me. I want to get some Power Prolonger in there, and hey, Zinogre's helmet has 2 Power Prolonger and a point and crit boost, which now brings attention to damage. Without Guiding Lance materials, the best we can do for a charm is 2 Weakness Exploit, 2 Crit Boost, or 4 Critical Eye. There are armor pieces with 2 Crit Boost and 2 Weakness Exploit, so we'll go ahead with the Critical Eye charm, which will pair nicely with the single Critical Eye level 4 decoration we get from the Iceborne story. We need to prioritize finishing up the critical boost and getting full Weakness Exploit. Weakness Exploit will be especially handy because Alatreon's arms, head, and neck all work with it, and when tenderized, Alatreon's legs will also work with it. If we look here, the Shara Ishvalda arms have 2 crit boost and a point in coalescence, which will give us a little damage boost and some extra blast buildup when we get blighted by Alatreon, and we will be taking some hits. so we might as well benefit a little bit from that. Raging Brachydios boots will give weakness exploit 2, and if we don't want to farm the event quest that gives Great Wetfish Fin Plus, you can run the alpha version to give you speed sharpen 3. Now we just need 1 point of weakness exploit, and the Brute Tigrex chest is a great candidate, especially since the attack boost decoration we got from the base game will be able to turn that attack boost 3 into attack boost 4 for an extra 5% critical chance. Now we have a good setup with some defensive, utility, and damage skills. It is not the best, of course, but as you can see, even without a bunch of good random decorations, we can make these armor pieces work. Speaking of meldable decorations, they are not the best, but there are some good ones. Right off the bat, we want 3 Vitality Jewels to get Health Boost 3 for that extra 50 health points. Shaver Jewel is going to be key for the weakening of parts. Acrobat Jewel is slept on pretty often, but if you get hit a lot, it can help save a bit of time by skipping the lying down animation. With just 3 slots left, we could use Defense Boost to squeeze a 5% increase that can help bring the defense up enough to make up for the lack of augments. With no alternatives, we can just go with that. Now that we have the ingredients for the build, let's touch on some of the prep work. Temporal Mantle, check. Rocksteady Mantle, check. Max Potions, check. Max Potion Ingredients, check. Radial Menu Settings, check. Palico Vigor Wasp Spray and Paralysis Weapon, check. Gourmet Vouchers for Feline Safeguard, check. With all the prep work done, we can finally get to the fight. I have had the fight running in the background throughout the whole video, but if you want to check out the full unedited run, I have posted it in my secondary channel that I plan on using when Wilds releases. I will include the link in description, so check it out, but only after you finish this video. I'm watching you. So, the plan for the fight is simple. Go in, beat the absolute crap out of Alatreon before he drops 4 Eschaton judgments, win. Vigor Wasp Spray gives us a little cushion by giving us a little revive if our HP hits 0. The dilemma we will run into is that we need to play Mad Dog aggressive, which means that we might be trading hits occasionally or even making reckless mistakes. But so long as we keep our fundamentals in check by seeking out healing windows and not getting greedy while we are in danger, we can survive easily by keeping a cool head. The main thing we need to watch out for is Alatreon's knockdown stomp and headbutt. Alatreon is a 2-hit killer, so if you get pinned down, you are almost certain to get your health bar flatlined if you don't get lucky enough for him to switch to your poor Palico. And of course, we would need to be careful not to get hit too often in quick succession, as a stun would provide us with a good carding as well. We need to make sure we keep our tenderizing up, and we need to utilize our wall bangs. But Alatreon is a bit dangerous with the Clutch Claw. His knockdown stomp will pin you down if you are on him, and it won't even matter if you are wearing Rocksteady. And whenever he is calling lightning, his head is a danger zone that will chew through your temporal mantle as well as your health bar when using Rocksteady. So you also need to plan a little ahead when it comes to the wall bangs, since the sections to knock him down are actually rather small and can be easy to miss. All of this sounds stressful, right? It's a little stressful, but a good hunter is not just prepared. A good hunter comes with the composure to do their thing. If I take any carts that are not from Eschaton, or if I don't like the start of the fight, I can always just abandon and restart with no sweat. So I do just that. I may not have many Alatreon kills, but I have killed Alatreon with raw damage before. With an optimal build setup and augments, I could kill Alatreon after 2 Eschaton judgments. So even with this Frankenstein limited build, I know I can manage it after 3. So, here I go. I give it attempt after attempt, and I would learn little things that I needed to tinker as I went. I realized how much of a problem the blights were. Thunder Blight making you more susceptible to getting stunned costed me carts. Ice and Water Blight were gassing me out so I would waste time and get hit while sucking up all the oxygen in this hellhole. I needed to do something about this. So, I ran back to the lab and I tinkered a little bit. For the Thunder Blight, I realized my thunder resistance was already pretty good, so I replaced 2 of the defense boost with thunder resistance to hit the 20 resistance breakpoint. With that, I will be immune to Thunder Blight, so there will not be a chance for me to get my head cracked and stunned to death because of electric attacks. I went ahead and replaced the last defense boost with 1 ice resistance just because It makes up for a little bit of that negative ice resistance. I could have also used the other attack jewel 1 that you get from the Witcher collaboration quest, but I was not that interested in just 3 raw attack. Plus, not trying to maximize damage kept the spirit of this challenge at the forefront. As for the water and ice blight, I had the null berries on deck and adjusted my radial menu to put them in a spot so that I can use them quickly. Now, time to get some new rounds in. It had actually been a while since I fought Alatreon, so planning some steps and remembering how some of its attacks work had to be picked up as I fought. But when you strip the fight down to just sheer monster moveset, Alatreon is very well designed. Very good tells on the attacks, and with our handy dandy evade extender 3, we were able to get in and out of some of the attacks without much difficulty. Sure, I had taken some lumps and abandoned the quests a few times. Sure, I had to reevaluate strategy, but I knew I was getting somewhere. I planned out my approach from the camp. An easy start would be putting Rocksteady on to immediately begin the tenderize and wallbang process. In the times that Alatreon would fly in the air, that would be the perfect time to tenderize those back legs. Realizing that the 50-minute time limit is also a valuable resource, I began to wait at camp in between escatons to recharge the temporal and Rocksteady mantle. A hunter needs to be resourceful. A hunter needs to learn on the go and adapt. I began to time my sharpening right before my white sharpness would wear off. Ideally, while Alatreon was in the air, but any good time window would work. With all of this in mind, I got to work. Please, please, please. Oh my god, it worked. Let's go.
This hunt will go down in history.
You don't have to be a perfect player. You don't even have to be an amazing player to beat the hardest challenges. You don't have to know Life the Games to be able to take on these challenges either. Your boy works an 8 to 5 full-time job. I have a wife, and during the time period of my recording process after my most recent video, I was playing through Bomb Rush Cyberpunk and unlocking the Barrett 50 cal with my boys during our Normie Games holiday event. So I did not dedicate as much time to this challenge as you might think. No, this is not just self-glaze and humble bragging. I firmly believe that you get back what you invest into Monster Hunter. If you learn your weapon through and through, and you dedicate yourself to learning how the games work, you don't need an uber DPS setup, luck with decos, or even super in-game materials to beat the hardest challenges. Hell, if you're solo, you don't even need element against Alatreon. My fellow Monster Hunter veterans will probably be nodding alongside me, saying that you just need the right tools, creativity, patience, and the fundamentals. If you watch the entire fight, I get hit a lot. There are definite blunders. I messed up a wall bang. I even had to reset my radial menu because I did not save the Nullberry version over the item set that I was using. I even got revived by my Palico. Shout out to my boy Ivan. He's single, by the way. Of course, the fight would have been easier had I used RNG decos, Fatalis armor, augments, and especially if I used an ice weapon to fight the fight properly. But I just wanted to give out some encouragement that you shouldn't be so intimidated by this big boy. As long as it bleeds, it can be killed. Keep in mind that if you want to be a good Monster Hunter player, you should also take the time to build yourself up beyond being better at the combat. Work on understanding the game. Learn how to build builds. Learn how to make the most of the tools that the game gives you. A good hunter does not have to be the luckiest. A good hunter doesn't have to be someone who is able to never get hit. A good hunter is able to understand their strengths and weaknesses and is able to prepare as such. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope I gave you something to think about. Hey, do me a favor, before you go check out the full fight, hit this video with a like, comment, and maybe even send a subscribe my way. If this video does well, I will work on doing a similar run against Fatalis. Stay meaty, my friends.
I've got dinner ready. Let him cook.